Four burning questions. Will Kaprizov and Rossi sign new contracts with the Minnesota Wild? Imagine the Minnesota Wild organization staring down a cliff, with two of their most valuable assets hanging precariously over the edge. Kirill Kaprizov and Marco Rossi. As we edge closer to August, neither of these players has secured a new contract, leaving the team and fans alike in a state of suspense. The saga of Marco Rossi's contract negotiations has been particularly intriguing. Since early June, there's been a radio silence between Rossi's camp and the Wild's front office. Despite President of Hockey Operations and General Manager Bill Guerin's expressed desire to keep Rossi, the lack of an offer sheet suggests this might be a prolonged wait. The next major deadline could come at the start of training camp in mid-September, adding a layer of urgency to the talks. On the other hand, Kaprizov's situation is a bit different. Both sides have taken a breather, with the next likely step being a face-to-face meeting between Guerin and Kaprizov when the Russian winger returns to the Twin Cities next month. Given the complexity of negotiating such a high-profile deal, it's crucial to ensure there are no misunderstandings, especially with Kaprizov currently based in Moscow. Recent social media posts have shown Kaprizov training with Evgeny Malkin and attending a friend's wedding, indicating he's in top form and eager to return to action. Last fall, owner Craig Leipold emphasized that the Wild are in the second year of a 5-year plan, but the overarching goal is unmistakably clear: re-signing Kaprizov, the franchise's best player ever. This negotiation, despite its complications, is vital for the team's future. However, several burning questions loom large. Does Kaprizov genuinely want to stay with the Wild? While Kaprizov's public statements have been positive, expressing gratitude for his teammates and leadership role, these words are just that until a contract is inked. Guerin and Leipold have shown confidence in securing a deal, but the Wild hold a significant advantage due to the new collective bargaining agreement, CBA. They can offer Kaprizov an 8-year contract, whereas other teams can only offer up to 7 years under the current CBA. The next CBA could further strengthen the Wild's position, potentially limiting the maximum term to 6 years for free agents starting in 2026. The financial aspect shouldn't pose a major obstacle. An 8-year deal with an average annual value, AAV, of $15 million is within reason. Leipold has hinted at breaking his long-standing policy against signing bonuses, which could be a game-changer. Moreover, Kaprizov has deep roots in Minnesota, having played his first 5 seasons for the Wild after being drafted in the 5th round in 2015. One encouraging sign is Kaprizov's involvement in helping Vladimir Tarasenko waive his no-trade clause. However, the ultimate deciding factor may be Kaprizov's belief in the Wild's ability to become a contender. His statement, "It's always, every time, it's about winning," underscores the importance of this consideration. What if Kaprizov prefers a short-term deal? While the assumption is that Kaprizov will sign an 8-year contract, there's room for a shorter arrangement. With the salary cap expected to increase in the coming years, star players might opt for shorter deals to maximize their earnings. For a 29-year-old Kaprizov, a shorter contract could provide flexibility to assess the team's progress and put pressure on management to build a stronger roster around him. Is there an AAV too high for the Wild to swallow? Leipold has set a high bar, emphasizing that no team can offer Kaprizov more money or a longer contract. However, the cost of keeping Kaprizov, currently carrying a $9 million AAV, will be substantial. An 8-year, $120 million deal, $15 million AAV, would position Kaprizov among the league's highest-paid players starting in 2026-27. Although Connor McDavid, who is also entering the final year of his contract, could surpass him. The challenge lies in balancing the desire to retain Kaprizov with the financial constraints of building a competitive team. The higher the AAV, the greater the risk, especially if the Wild aim to add complementary players around him. What happens with Rossi? Despite the contract impasse, Rossi's work ethic remains unshaken. Scoring 24 goals and 60 points in his second full season, Rossi has continued to train rigorously this offseason. While Rossi can't elect salary arbitration, he can sign an offer sheet with another team, forcing the Wild to decide whether to match or accept draft pick compensation. Guerin's vow to match any offer sheet suggests he's confident in the team's valuation of Rossi. However, the lack of an offer sheet indicates that Guerin may be playing a waiting game. Rossi's leverage stems from the team's need for depth in the middle of the ice. With Kaprizov and Filip Gustavsson entering the final year of their contracts, this season is crucial for the Wild's future. Unless a trade or offer sheet emerges, a compromise on the contract seems inevitable, bridging the gap between the team's valuation and Rossi's expectations. In conclusion, while nothing appears imminent, both Kaprizov and Rossi's situations could shift with a single phone call. The Wild's success in navigating these negotiations will be pivotal in determining their path forward. Minnesota Wild, huge hint. Is Kirill Kaprizov here to stay? Sidewalk Tease explained. The Minnesota Wild teasing a blockbuster contract update on local sidewalks? It sounds unbelievable, but that's exactly the kind of buzz stirring up excitement and curiosity around the team right now. After finally shedding the hefty contract burdens from Ryan Suter and Zach Parise, expectations were sky high for an active, impactful offseason for the Wild. Yet surprisingly, this summer has been unusually quiet compared to recent years, leaving fans and analysts scratching their heads. Why the silence from Minnesota? For starters, the NHL is currently in a holding pattern, waiting for its new, more lucrative TV contract to go live. This slowdown in player trades and signings has more than just Minnesota affected. Every team feels the pinch. Bill Guerin, the Wild's president of hockey operations, finds himself with plenty of salary cap space to maneuver, but limited enticing options on the market. In response, he's taken a patient approach, openly stating he could hold on to that cap money well into the 2025-26 trade deadline, or even the following offseason if necessary. But here's the catch. After another disappointing first-round playoff exit, and years spent hoping the team's financial shackles from the Suter and Parise buyouts would be a thing of the past, pressure is mounting for the Wild to start winning, and winning big. And this is the part most people overlook. Building a championship team in today's NHL is incredibly tough without competing payrolls. Simply put, a Wild's roster value lags behind many rivals by $10 to $15 million, which is a massive gap in a salary cap league. So the number one priority for Guerin is locking down Kirill Kaprizov's future with the team by extending his contract. But this isn't turning out to be an easy negotiation. As of late July, Kaprizov and the Wild are stuck at a crossroads. The 27-year-old winger hasn't returned to the United States yet, and both sides are waiting for that moment to continue talks. While most insiders expect a deal to happen eventually, Michael Russo from The Athletic cautions that nothing is certain at this stage. To put it into context, back in 2021, on the eve of training camp, Guerin had to personally fly to Miami to meet Kaprizov and his agent to hash out a 5-year, $45 million contract. Even whisking them back on a private jet so Kaprizov could start camp on time. If Guerin finds himself in a similar deadlock this year, he might have to explore the unlikely option of trading the star, asking which teams Kaprizov would approve moving to. That's a bold and controversial idea. Is it right to even consider moving your franchise's iconic talent? Or would that risk alienating the fan base and disrupting team chemistry? Even if Guerin opts to sit tight with the rest of the cap space, coming to terms on Kaprizov's deal this offseason would be a massive victory, something that would change the whole narrative of this silent summer. Of course, such a contract wouldn't come cheap. Rumors suggest it could shatter salary records for the Wild. Yet owner Craig Leipold appears unbothered by the price tag, signaling the franchise's strong commitment to keeping Kirill in Minnesota for the long haul. Now, here's where things get truly interesting and borderline mysterious. The Minnesota Wild seem to be dropping subtle hints to reassure fans that good news is on the way for Kaprizov's contract situation. How? By painting messages on the sidewalks of Minneapolis. Though the team hasn't officially declared responsibility, the bold phrase, "here to stay," accompanied by Kirill Kaprizov's signature, this coincides with the launch of their Be Forever Wild membership program, designed to provide fans with exclusive experiences, from special player interactions to priority playoff ticket access. It's a clever marketing move that goes beyond just selling tickets. It's an emotional appeal, a promise to fans that their franchise cornerstone isn't going anywhere. But was this sidewalk artwork an official sneak peek at the team's messaging for the next chapter? Or the work of an overzealous employee who grabbed a stencil a little too soon? To this day, that remains unclear. Regardless, the team still hasn't found common ground, not only with Kaprizov, but also with key teammate Marco Rossi, adding more complexity to the contract discussions. Why does this matter so much? Because fans have been starved for a reason to genuinely rally and get excited about the new season ever since the last puck dropped in 2024-25. Kirill Kaprizov's return was almost a given, but securing a long-term deal would transform hope into certainty and could be the spark that galvanizes a passionate fan base hungry for playoff success. It's worth noting the Wild haven't been completely passive this offseason. They brought back Stanley Cup champion Nico Sturm on a 2-year contract and snagged Vladimir Tarasenko on a low-risk deal, hoping he'll regain his explosive scoring abilities. But modest moves like these don't quite signal a triumphant offseason by themselves. Minnesota, often called the state of hockey, has yet to crack the code to a Stanley Cup win. And arguably, no franchise is hungrier for that elusive title than the Wild. If Kirill Kaprizov truly is here to stay, it could drastically improve the team's chances, adding a superstar cornerstone that other contenders lack. What do you think? Should the Wild bet big on Kaprizov by giving him a record-breaking deal now? Or is it smarter to wait and see how things shake out? And if talks stall, would trading him be a betrayal of the team's identity or a pragmatic step toward future success? Join the conversation and share your thoughts. The fate of Minnesota's hockey future is anything but settled. NHL rumors, Kirill Kaprizov extension talks, Minnesota Wild update future outlook. The NHL rumor mill is in full swing, and as we dive into August, the hot stove chatter is far from cooling down. While the signing frenzy might have slowed, general managers are tirelessly working behind the scenes to assemble their dream rosters. The 2025-26 season is on everyone's radar, but savvy teams are already plotting moves for the future. Some star players could hit the free agency market if they don't ink new deals soon. But here's where it gets controversial. Some teams might be better off letting key players walk to avoid hefty contracts. What do you think? Should teams prioritize short-term success or long-term financial stability? Let us know in the comments. One team that's under the microscope is the Minnesota Wild. The Wild are in a critical phase of their offseason, with the extension talks for their star player, Kirill Kaprizov, taking center stage. Let's dive into the latest developments surrounding this high-stakes negotiation. All NHL rumors are sourced from reputable outlets and are subject to change, so stay tuned for updates. The latest on Kirill Kaprizov's extension talks with the Minnesota Wild rumor. Michael Russo and Joe Smith of The Athletic have been keeping a close eye on the situation, and they've shared some intriguing insights. Kaprizov's contract is one of the burning questions that the Wild need to address this offseason. The Russian sensation is under contract until the end of the current season, but general manager Bill Guerin is eager to secure his future with the team. Minnesota also has to find a solution for restricted free agent forward Marco Rossi. Both issues are pressing for Guerin, who finally has some financial breathing room after the cap hits from the buyouts of Zach Parise and Ryan Suter have significantly decreased. Guerin has already taken care of several extensions, like the one for Brock Faber. However, the big question remains, how will the Wild find the money to keep Kaprizov in the fold? Minnesota owner Craig Leipold has been vocal about his commitment to retaining Kaprizov. However, as of now, no contract extension has been signed. And this is the part most people miss. The financial implications of Kaprizov's next contract could set a new standard for Russian players in the NHL. How will this affect future negotiations? Only time will tell. What it all means. Russo and Smith report that both sides have taken a pause in negotiations for the time being. They expect the next round of talks to resume when Kaprizov reports to training camp. The star forward is set to arrive in the Twin Cities before camp kicks off. Leipold has mentioned that the Wild are in the second year of a 5-year plan. However, Russo and Smith point out that all potential plans revolve around extending Kaprizov's contract. It seems likely that he'll be commanding a hefty salary, with estimates suggesting at least $14 million or $15 million for his next deal. Some Wild fans might be worried that Kaprizov is eyeing an exit, but he has never hinted at wanting to leave. Kaprizov has expressed his happiness in Minnesota, but the speculation won't die down until he signs on the dotted line. One advantage the Wild have is their ability to offer an 8-year contract. If Kaprizov hits the open market, other teams would only be able to offer him 7 years, thanks to the new collective bargaining agreement. This could give Guerin and Leipold some leverage in the negotiations. One encouraging sign is how Kaprizov played a role in convincing Vladimir Tarasenko to join the Wild. However, the chatter won't subside until a deal is finalized. And this is where it gets interesting. Could Kaprizov's influence on Tarasenko be a sign of things to come? Will more Russian stars follow suit? The future of the Wild's roster hangs in the balance. What's your take on the situation? Do you think the Wild will secure Kaprizov's future? Or will he test the free agency waters? Share your thoughts in the comments below.